Okay, fabulous. And awesome. Okay, so this is being recorded for Rebecca, and everybody else can see everything's still the same. Yes? And you're okay? Yep. Okay, cool. You're off. Hand blades. Great, great. Well, thanks so much for coming officially. That's great seeing you present me today. Okay, so I'm going to share before I get started with the acknowledgement, I'm feeling my own nerve. So I'm going to share with you something that I haven't put in the slides, about how to manage these kind of stressful periods. So has anyone heard of the physiological sigh? Okay, so it's a great, really quick breath technique to use when you're feeling a little bit anxious or you've got that fight flight going. So it's really simple. It's 2 breaths, and I'll demonstrate it first. It's 2 breaths, and then it's a long exhale through your mouth. So it's so you take a big breath and then breathe it on top of it, and then let it out slowly. I'm feeling better. What it does is it slows down my heart rate, and it just brings your nervous system back. So especially when you have like a spiky moment, it really helps to bring you back to base. So can I just check and make sure that Sue and Jenny, that you can hear me? Great. All right. Thanks so much. So now that I'm feeling a little bit calmer, I would like to start by honoring honor the continued presence, resilience, and contributions to the region of the Yawuru people. We are on Yawuru country at the moment. And I'd like to acknowledge and my respect for the country, for Sue and Jenny, where you are today as well. I'm going to be shifting glasses. I haven't progressed to progressive yet, so I'll be doing some shifting of glasses. It's not moving. I may have to go. Maybe we'll scroll. Nope, it's anything over 7. Ah, perfect. And it should do that now. Someone want to do that? That's okay. I'll scroll it. It did before, didn't it? It did. It's working. Okay. What fingers? Okay. I might bring that over here so I'm not dancing all over the place. So my first question for you is, will you be a master or a disaster of your well-being? Oh, so this is going to be, Michael, can I use your assistance, please, to, okay. So what I notice in my work with couples and individuals is that I'm frequently saying to them, care of self is care of your relationship. And in fact, it's not only care of your relationship, but it's care of the relationship, all of your relationships, such as the one that you have with yourself, one that you have with loved ones, and the ones with the people in your day. It's very sensitive. Can you go further back, please? Thank you. Oh, this is going to be frustrating. There's a lot of slides. Okay. So what I've done here is I've taken a concept from couples therapy and I've borrowed it to highlight the importance of self-care. Slide. Right. And so this is going to be interesting. So what we have here is the sound relationship house theory, and it's backed by 40 years of research. So the Gottmans, if you've not heard of them, they're kind of some of the leaders in the industry of relationship therapy. And they have these love labs. And so they get couples to come into the love lab, and they wire them all up and they watch them intently for like 24 hours, maybe sometimes a little bit longer. And they're watching everything. They're not just listening to the way they talk and things that they do. They're like watching every little move of the eyebrow, every little move of and they're fine tuning. And what they've got a lot of great research from that to help us understand what makes relationships work and what makes relationships not work so well. No, please stay there. So all of my work includes various modalities, theories, and interventions. And when I work with couples, I use the Gottman method of couples therapy as a frame, and then I weave in a bunch of different modalities with that. So when I start out and work with couples, I do an assessment. So that's a deep dive into the quality of the relationship. And I'm looking to see how satisfied and unsatisfied they are with the quality of that relationship. And then I'm also looking to identify strengths and challenges. So that's just the initial assessment part. Let's go to the next screen. And one of the things that the Gottmans have come up with in this concept that I'm sharing with you today is they have the masters and the disasters of relationships. So when you have, what we have here is the sound relationship health, sound relationship house. So in this theory, you can see that you've got your foundation here, which really is founded on a strong friendship. And then you've got, and then as we move and progress through the layers of the house, these are different dimensions in the relationship that feed into the quality of the relationship. And you can see that trust and commitment are really supportive parts of that sound relationship house. So masters take responsibility when it's needed. They validate feelings. They share appreciation and gratitude with each other. They prioritize their friendship and their emotional intimacy, and they approach their differences with curiosity. Conversely, disasters tend to take a negative perspective, and that really does bleed out into the rest of the relationship, all the different facets through the different layers. And they tend to have poor conflict management, and really they can be quite unkind with each other. And that's quite a diplomatic way of saying there's some not nice behaviors that can happen between couples. And so, there can be contempt and disconnection and defensiveness that can really get in the way of this relationship house being sound. And so, 2 seconds. Yes, I think you can now. So thank you to the next one. So why am I telling you about couples therapy? So now I'm going to show you why, how I've am borrowing this and bringing this into self-care. Next one, thank you. So masters of self-care respond to their own internal bids for attention. They notice tension, fatigue, and emotional issues, and they turn towards themselves with curiosity and not criticism. They show daily self-kindness. They complete the stress cycles when it's necessary. And more importantly, they keep their whole self coherent and resilient. And they do that with integrative practices. So it's not about triage, it actually becomes about prevention. So we're not just dealing with all the problems, we're actually trying to oyster things up so that there's a lot of health, please say that. The disasters, on the other hand, of self-care, they override their body's cues. They push through depletion. They meet discomfort with judgment and avoidance. They focus only on surviving each stress cycle without tending to the deeper regulation and integration that creates the well-being that they're most likely looking for. So how do we invite restoration and well-being into our day? And what happens if we don't? So the wheel of doing. Spin the wheel and see what lands, where you land there. So we've got burnout, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue. And what we know about the helping profession is, all the different people in these helping professions, is that we have really high numbers of these three, doom experiences. And if you're incredibly unlucky, you might go past the burnout, the trauma, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, end up with disability, severe issues beyond that, and even death. And, people who have a lot of problems that come from this. When we practice good self-care, especially the kind that's attuned to our body, to our emotions, and to our environment, our ventral vagus system, so that's the social engagement branch of the parasympathetic nervous system, it thrives. So there are a lot of barriers to self-care. I certainly see it in my own profession with therapists. In those Facebook groups, and you hear what's really going on behind the scenes. There's even a lot of people who are teaching this and helping people all the time who aren't doing this effectively as well. And so that can be for so many reasons: time constraints, workloads, a lot of internal beliefs and thoughts. Workplace culture is a huge one. So I know myself, I've worked for an organization that really talks about self-care. When the rubber meets the road, or whatever analogy you want to use, there really isn't a place for the self-care, and the demands that are put on go outside of what would actually be self-care. Financial constraints, difficulties prioritizing and recognizing own needs. And as you can see, poor boundaries, beliefs that it must be earned, and things like that. So those are some of the barriers to our own personal gardens. So how do we reframe our self-care practice? Well, let's look at what some of the myths are. So that self-care is all or nothing. It requires significant resources and grand experiences. And that's great. Big experience can be fantastic. But for some people, they deter away from actually engaging in the everyday practices that are necessary. Time consuming. So people are worried with their time. So effective self-care requires, this takes so much time. I can't. I'm so busy to get this done. And that's why what I'm offering here today is some little snacks. So snacking regularly is a healthy way to enjoy regular practice, tending to yourself. Some people only the sick or the stressed. It's not until you're sick or stressed, or that people are sick and stressed, they often turn to, oh no, what do I need to do to become better? And I'll put my hand up for that one. So I'm speaking from experience there, but prevention is really a fabulous way to stay well and to really enjoy those big experiences, because I'm sure we all know someone who's saved up all their time and they come back from their holiday. How was it? They go, oh, it was horrible. I got sick the first day. I spent the rest of the day in bed, or I felt like I was dragging myself around. And often that's because there hasn't been enough care and everything's been left to the ends, and then the body just kind of lets go. So a luxury or a one-time activity, so saving all our energy, for one thing, actually reduces the effectiveness of that one event. So if we're only saving up for that thing we're doing once a month or whatever, then it's going to have to pull a pretty big punch, or pack a big punch, or pull a lot of weight. It's going to need to do a lot. And with the luxury, so as I say here, cars need oil, plants need water. And I borrowed this slide from another presentation I've given to just counselors, but we all need consistent self-care, particularly in the work that we do. So I'm creating these layers of nourishment, and this is really how I see that self-care helps us. So as you can see, it's very similar, and I kind of base this off Maslow's hierarchy. So moment to moment, blocks of time, PRN, in transitions. These are times when we really need to be tapping in and tuning into what's going on with ourselves and offering that kindness and that care that we're seeking, that our whole self is seeking from us. Whether it's we need to offer a different thought, do we need to do some movement, do we need to actually go to the toilet or have some water, just the basics. And then at the end of the day, there's some things we might tend to at the end of the day. Everyone's got their own rituals. Hopefully they're not, smashing down a bottle of wine or, eating bad food and then not doing anything else. If we're only going to the things that can really help us become unwell, then we're just adding more to the stress and more well-being that we're going to need. So then I'll just do weekly, monthly, and then the big grand things. And it can be hard. So doing this and tending to ourselves and being there for ourselves is a muscle that we have to flex and we have to build. So at first, can be like, oh no, I don't know how to do this. But if we do it with some self-compassion, then we realize on the other end that we actually, we can do it. We can do this for ourselves. We got this. Right back. It's okay to need help with this stuff. So others management. If you care for others without turning the same care inward to yourself, your nervous system learns to track other people's needs more closely than its own. Over time, you become externally attuned, and that's often at the cost of your own regulation, your own well-being. And so with that, there's 3 tips that I can think of. One is to learn to be aware of what's going on for yourself. Identify the patterns where you see this happening over and over and over again. First you gotta be aware, then you identify, and then you can tend to it. Then you can say, okay, I see this pattern now. There's something I can do about it. And like most things, we start small. We eat a lovely breakfast burger like you had this morning. You eat that a bite at a time. You don't just shove the whole thing in your mouth. So it's okay to take this in little steps, because little steps starting somewhere is better than just not doing anything at all. Excuse me, guys, sorry. So as you saw, it's okay to need help with this stuff. Like, we don't learn how, our culture doesn't support us to do this stuff. We rarely find this in our studies that we do. If we're lucky, we have families who model this, but many of us don't come from families that model this. And so, you might see something on your scroll, but it's in the scroll, so you probably didn't really take a lot of that in anyways. So there's not a lot of places where we know. So it really is okay to need help with this stuff. There's no, and part of this presentation is to really put it out there and try and break the stigma about taking care of yourself and saying, hey, like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not sure how to actually tend and care for myself. And that's okay. I'm going to do a really brief overview of the window of tolerance in the autonomic nervous system. So when we're in the window of tolerance, we can think clearly and we feel emotions without being swept away by them. The stress naturally rushes us outside of this zone, and that's where we might go into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And we can return via practices that can discharge that activation and restore our safety. I'm sorry, stay there. Over time, consistent self-regulation and embodied care don't just bring us back, so we're not just doing that triage, but they expand the window itself, and that improves the quality of life. So the key isn't to avoid these states because they're natural. We can't avoid them. They're just part of living. The key is to notice when we've drifted outside of that window and then to gently invite ourselves back in. So every small return that we do helps us widen that window a little bit further. And it strengthens our sense of inner safety as well. So we can start to, if we look at the pillars, we start to trust and we notice that we're committed to ourselves. And that really frames up that sound relationship that we have with ourselves. Excuse me. So the polyvagal theory, this is getting a lot of noise out there. It's great that a lot of people are talking about the polyvagal theory. So we have this ladder. And the important key, I'll start with this. The important thing, we're always going to go up and down this ladder all day long. That's really normal. And so the key is with the flexibility. How flexible are we when we go from one part of the ladder to get back into the top, which is kind of the nice place to be, which is the ventral vagal, the safety and connection. Now, it's great to drop down into the sympathetic. we need that action to go for a run, or I needed that today to get here and do the presentation. But if, I had to also manage that so that I can talk to you here today. So in ventral vagal at the top of the ladder, we feel safe. We're socially engaged, we're open. And this is where connection, creativity, and importantly for us as workers, this is where the competent work happens, when we're able to be in this ventral vagal state. Moving down the ladder to sympathetic, that's when we're activated. So that's the fight and flight mode. And we're feeling alert, we're feeling tense, we're feeling anxious. And this is okay in short bursts, but obviously if this happens over a long time, this activation, it leads to stress, burnout, and overwhelm. And you'll see also here, there's the little fawn in between. So that's a bit of a mixture of dorsal and sympathetic. So it's appeasement, people pleasing, disconnecting and dissociating. And then when we get down to the bottom of the ladder, that's the freeze and the shutdown. So our energy drops, our motivation fades, and we may feel numb or disconnected. And if that's chronic, then that can underlie things like vicarious trauma. We can find that underneath the vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, and the deep exhaustion. So supporting our nervous system to return to the ventral vagal zone isn't just about feeling better. It's essential. It's essential for sustaining our health and doing competent, compassionate work that we're called to do every day with others. So 2 takeaways, just a little bit of information. 1, explore your window of tolerance. What does it look like? When does it happen? Be curious, be kind, and then find ways to get back to the ventral vagal. So that's going to look different for all of us. So a little bit about me. I'm a clinical counselor. And as I mentioned before, I'm not just moving my mouth here, I actually walk my own talk. I live and breathe this stuff personally and professionally, and I have lived experience with some of the stuff as well. So I'm really speaking from knowing. I work with individuals, couples, and groups, and I do that online and outdoors. My approach is integrative and holistic. So I don't have any cookie cutter way that I work with people. And I'm really interested in the whole person. So whether or not that is what I'm focusing on work with people, I'm always holding in my mind that, this person has many layers and dimensions: mind, body, emotions, energy, spirit, environment, context, and things like that. So I'm always holding those things. And I come from a few different modalities. And as an integrative person, I use a lot of different modalities. But the ones that I seem to circle around the most and really enjoy are humanistic, nature-based, energy-based, expressive therapies, movement therapies, body-based therapies, and attachment to polyvagal therapies, things like that. Okay, so today I'm offering you snack-sized bites of love for your nervous system. Okay, so when doing these in your real life, and even here today, I invite you, to make sure you're sprinkling in some attention, consistency, love, and presence, because these little snacks I'm going to give you, some of them will only take a moment, but it's not about the time that you're spending doing it. It's really about the intention that you're putting into it. Like, you're doing this because you're doing it for yourself. And so a few moments can go a really long way when you're doing it with actual intention and when you're doing it consistently. So it's about the quality of your attention. Just like in all your relationships with other people, it's also the same for yourself. So I re-asked the question, will you be a master or a disaster of your own well-being? So I'm going to offer, getting now into like the different part of the presentation. I'm going to offer up a few little exercises, And they might work for you, they might not. They might spark something else. And I think where you think, oh, well, I didn't really like that, but I could maybe tailor it this way for me. And one of the other important things in some pushback I hear from people about this stuff is like, well, I don't know where I would do this. I don't know anything. But as we can see, just looking around this room, most workplaces have that one little room, that no one uses, that's full of stuff. Or, there's that toilet that's got a little bit of space that no one ever goes to. Like most people, if they're not working alone, can find somewhere in their workspace that they can take a moment and take care of themselves. So the first exercise I'm going to offer you is one that can help you get back into ventral vagal. And it's really quite straightforward. I'm already starting to yawn just doing it because my body knows it's about to happen. So I'll explain it first and I'll show you, and then I'll invite you to try it yourself. So you place your fingers together, you nest them together, and then you're putting them on the back of your head. It can be easy the first time to do it laying down, but look, nothing's perfect. And we really want to be hitting these points here. So we're wanting to reach into those points. And it's about, actually, let's all do it now. And then we won't have to, sorry for this. It's on the floor, actually. So what I wanted to say before we start is when I ask you to move your eyes from the right to the left, just be gentle. Please don't strain them. It's really about doing it gently. So we start in the middle, and then we gently look to our right, and we wait for cues from our body. It could be a yawn, it could be a swallow. Once you've had your little cue, bring your eyes back to center. And then gently take them to the left and wait for your little cue. If it doesn't happen, that's okay. You can try again another time. Go back to center with your eyes. Disengage your hands and just what was that? Notice anything there? Great. Okay, on to our next exercise. You can see is connecting with nature. So let me just demonstrate here. Let's share these with you quickly. So for the people, Sue and Jenny, I've just offered out some pebbles, and I've got different sizes, so it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, these pebbles, you could have little river pebbles. It doesn't take much to just have them around. So connecting, so there's three main topics. I mean, there's many more than what I offer here, and reasons why this is helpful, but I've got three that I'm going to share with you here. So grounding and stability. Cool, solid weight in hand provides of the pebble can provide a tangible anchor. So reset and reconnect with the present moment after an emotionally charged session or interaction with someone. That's a really helpful way to just like be in the moment, touch it, center in, touching nature. So you're connecting with a lot of different things in that space. An energetic clearing. Holding or gently rubbing the smooth pebbles can symbolically and somatically release residual emotional energy, which can create a sense of renewal. And sensory regulations can also happen. So the texture, temperature, and natural essence of the pebble engage the senses, offering simple yet effective soothing of your nervous system, and it helps enhance your focus as well. Another one is for connecting with nature is fractals, sorry. And so you can as you can see, I'm wearing a dress that has some nice fractals on it as well. So, you can bring fractals in lots of different ways. You can be very creative with this stuff. So nature, both in real life and through images, offers relaxing and restorative opportunities that naturally support autonomic balance. Fractals are the simple repeating patterns that are abundant in nature, and they evoke a regulating autonomic response in just moments of viewing. So to embed this into your everyday world, would first invite you to attend and track your responses to different nature things, like where do you get pulled and what makes you feel like you're at the top of the ladder, ventral or what makes you feel like, for me, when I see a tree cut, I'm fight or flight. And then if I slide down into dorsal because I'm feeling very sad, so I have to bring myself back up. So knowing the things in nature that can be helpful can be really great. So you can you can keep this on your phone, you could print one off and have it at your desk. I mean, it could be as big as a little card you have in your wallet. There are ways if you can't get out to real life. Like I was thinking of like the sonographers, we're stuck in those little caves in the hospital and they almost never see the light of day. But they could have, mine's made it to mine off either, don't worry. Yeah, there's different ways that you can bring this in, which can be really helpful. And it helps you reconnect. Back to the other one, please. There we go. So deliberate defocus. This is really important. I can't stress this one enough. So after intense focus, we really need to engage in deliberate defocus. And what we know is that the brain really can handle a 90-minute focus session, like to do really hard, intense focus work. And we can maybe do 2 of those in a day, but we're called to do a lot more than that on a daily basis. So deliberately defocusing is essential for our well-being. This practice involves intentionally shifting our attention from intense, goal-directed tasks to engage in activities that require minimal mental effort. Consciously allowing the mind to wander or shift the attention away from the task at hand, it facilitates cognitive recovery and it helps prevent burnout. So this is huge stuff. So we can do that through short breaks in nature, mindful breathing. Those things can quickly reset our attention and calm the nervous system. So even brief moments, very brief moments with natural scenes, so those pictures we looked at before, fractals and things like that, can restore our focus and ease our reactivity. So if we're just keep pushing through, and then we're going from one meeting to a client, and in between we're like this, we've got all that residue still processing through, and then we're jumping into something else. We're not even fully in the next, if we're still, that makes sense, we're bringing all that with us, and we haven't given ourselves a chance to calm or to get back and just have a bit of a defocus. Next one, please. So this one, I'm actually going to get you to participate if you'd like. I do not have a great singing voice, so I won't be singing. But this is a really simple. So I'll just tell you about it first, and then I'll explain. If you're feeling yourself spike, you can do your physiological side, or we can just do some humming and singing. So singing or humming stimulates the vagus nerve. And so what that does is slow down the heart rate and it deepens our breath, which helps us to shift the nervous system from stress, so shutdown, back towards regulation and connection. So, and also from an energetic perspective, each note is linked to a different energy system in our body. And when we sing or hum this scale up and down 2 or 3 times, so up, down, and back up again, it really supports the connection of our energetic systems as well. And that's great when we're feeling scattered, conflicted, or fractionated ourselves. So what we're going to do, I invite you to, you don't have to. And this is the great part, is if we all close off our ears, we're not going to hear each other, we're only going to hear ourselves. So that's a great thing. Let's let like we're a little afraid of it. Let's wait outside. Okay. All right. Okay. So I invite you, we're going to just put our fingers in up here. That's a very big one. And we're going to go up the scale, down the scale, and back off. And that's it. So I invite you to close off your ears, and I'm going to hum. I'm not going to sing, so you don't want to hear it. Okay. Here we go. Actually, I'm going to sing because I'm not going to be able to track it. So you can hum or sing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's it. And doing that, humming that can actually have really great benefits for your voice. And that's something, you can hum in the toilet, you can find yourself a little room, or if some offices you could probably sing. So it really just depends on where you work and what you're doing. Slide, please. Okay, here's where things get a little fun for me. So you may notice that I have a bunch of things here. So I'm going to I much just take I think I can do a lot. And for the people online, I'm sorry I haven't been speaking to you much. If you have your bottles of water, I'm so sorry. We've been neglecting you guys. If you have your bottle of water, I invite you to. It was easier than trying to get guys. Shame. Sorry, that. Let me. So messaging with my. Let me just get. I'm gonna pop this on to a little. Probably doing for time. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time. This is the last activity, and then we have one more slide and we're done. So if anyone's nervous system is going a while, because they've got to get out of here, we're going to be done. Sorry, I didn't have this prepared earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play about 2 minutes of a song. I'll explain a little bit first. You don't have to get up, but I invite you to get up and do some movement, which is a really great way. The song will be about 2 minutes. If I'm noticing that you guys don't want to, I won't make you sit through 2 minutes of it. And of course, choose whatever music works for you. Rhythm can be really great for our system. And we can do that. We don't need to have music. We can find our own rhythm that works for us, for our nervous system, for different things. But the music I'm going to offer today is a little bit of house music, which some studies have shown actually can they can do great stuff. I wrote it down because I know I was going to forget. So it drops our cortisol, boosts brain function, and can regulate our heart. So go with house music. There's any house music people in here. 2 seconds. While I'm doing this, so this is how it helps. Then we'll jump into some fun. So rhythmic movement and using shakers helps shift the nervous system from a state of stress to a state of balance, promoting relaxation and emotional reset. On an energetic release and emotional processing level, movement and sound vibrations assist discharge of residual emotions, preventing them from storing in the body, creating a sense of emotional closure after like an intense session or interaction, depending what's going on in your day. And of course, stuff is all transferable to your real life outside of work. And grounding and reconnection. So the tactile sensation of holding and shaking an object fosters present moment awareness, anchoring back into body and your immediate environment, and enhancing resilience for next session or movie. So it can be really helpful. So I'm just going to find my little spot I will just jump into. Okay. And so I just invite you to get up and we're just going to shakers. Oh, it's not 2 seconds. It's really long. Oh, sit down. See how ready the chicks think. Oh, so it's not gonna. It's not gonna stay. Thanks. It's the good. How's everybody feeling? Well, thanks for participating in that. It's so much more fun when everyone's participating. Okay, one more slide, and then we're ready to roll into our day. So, this is a catch a breath, catch my own breath. This last one I want to share with you after I take a little drink myself is that creative expression can be a really great way also to move through some of the stresses that we have. And as you can see, I've got these little, it doesn't have to be amazing. You can take a Post-it note and one of those pens that has like 4 colors in it, and away you go. Like, we don't have to float all the paints. I love those pens. We don't have to float all the paints. And the markers and stuff. You can, of course, and that can be fun, but you don't have to. So, do I have regular sun? So, this can be great for emotional processing and release. So, translating our inner experiences into color and form helps us to externalize those emotions, and which helps to reduce the mental and emotional burden of carrying them around. So, you have a interaction with someone you're helping or something. Take 30 seconds and doodle some stuff out. You don't have to think about what you're feeling. You can just get it out on the paper, and that really helps to bring it out. Nonverbal expression. So engaging visual activity bypasses our analytical thinking, which is what I was just saying, allowing for deeper self-awareness and intuitive reflection. And it can also help with what I talked to a lot of therapists about is we do supervision. So I know some disciplines do supervision. You can take your little notes to supervision. It's like, oh God, that's right. I felt this way after a session. Or sometimes we can't express exactly how we feel, but we could dialogue it and maybe bring some more words to it later. And then lastly, sensory regulation and grounding. So the physical act of drawing, along with the vibrancy of the colors, engages our senses, fostering relaxation and a sense of closure. And that's my presentation. So thank you so much for joining me. So thank you. Thanks for online. Thanks, Jenny and Sue. Any questions, Jenny, Sue? Are you all good? Sue, I think.
Yes, hello. Oh, no, so valuable. I'm just going to scan in your QR code there. Just what I needed for the, I wish I could have been there in person, but so great.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks so much for linking in.
I'd love to contact you after through your email if that's okay.
Oh, Be more than happy to do so.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Sue.
you.
Any other questions in the room? No? Okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay, thanks for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, just before you go, can we just all have a photo in front of the thing? You've done that, you know, if you don't want to, I totally understand, but you know, people like it just so. You know, it was there. I'm next to Michael, my store worker, and he said, we didn't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. It's all, you know. Actually, he's not my support worker, like my partner. He's actually my partner.
He's definitely both.
Okay, I'm gonna tattoo. Stay online, guys. I'm gonna get you guys in it as well. So ready, smile. Oh no, it's gone. She didn't want to be that. Smile online. Smile. Awesome. And then I'll just get one thing. So that's awesome. Really. Well, thank you so much for playing today. Beautiful time. I'm just going to turn off the
Thank
recording.
you.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks for coming along to our Morning Minds virtually. I really appreciate it. It's great.
Oh, man. I just love them. Thanks, Sarah, for always commentating on me. So appreciate it.
No, great. It's awesome.
I got to run to thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for seeing us. Thanks, guys. Have a great day at work.
Sarah, I'd love a chat with you sometime. Pick your brain if you're free. I'd love it sometime.
Okay,
To pick your brain.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Too easy. Hopefully I'll be up in Kununurra early next year, so maybe we can host one from there.
Oh, that would be so great. Absolutely so great. But I'd love to chat to you when you got a mo. Do you have my mobile or not? I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, send it to me. Send me an email and with your mobile. So
Thank you. Take care. Thanks, team. Thanks, guys. Fabulous, Rebecca. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Sensory thing is when you sort of think that's why like the monks use the rosemary beads. It's a sensory thing to
And it's concentration, it's focus, dedication, I suppose. Medics. Grab my little USB thing. Stop.